Hi everyone. Apologies for the second file. I realised when I actually went through the presentation I didn't include any of my activities that I'd written. So this is a separate one just for the activities, which may actually be useful in future having them as a separate page. So I've got blog and wiki peer activity, and then I've got class activities for both. So with the peer activity, at this stage of the course she may have already created a wiki or a blog in one of the applications mentioned. So an edublog, a wiki, or a Wikispace or a Weebly. So at this point I'd encourage you to take a moment and either comment or edit another person's work and make a connection for future use. If you haven't already looked around the wiki and blog spaces that you're in, I'd encourage you to do so, noting the features of wikis and blogs mentioned during the presentation. Also note that different groups will have chosen to include different features. Not all blogs and wikis look the same. If you haven't created a wiki or a blog, or if you want to try using the other one that you haven't already created, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. For a student wiki activity, have students look at wikipedia.org in pairs and search for any article of interest. It doesn't matter what the topic is, just something that engages them. Guide them to look for the formatting aspects discussed, the main article, the headings, links, key information boxes, and the references indications of editing at the bottom. Are there any pictures or audio files embedded into the page? Get them to interact with the page and have a bit of a look and feel around. Secondly, get them to create a wiki page using Wikispaces and show students the process. For a younger student or for a younger class, you may actually create this wiki page before this just so that they can interact with it. They don't really necessarily need to know how to create one in the younger years. Once you've done that, invite all students to create a username and avatar, remembering security rules not to use full names or personal details. For example, instead of Rebecca Jessup, I could use RJ. So each student would then give the teacher their name so that the teacher can invite them into the class group. For younger students, again, create the page and the usernames first and just give those usernames to them. Before the next class, add several different examples of content to the page. They could be content specific if you're actually doing this for a particular subject or you want to have a particular learning outcome. This will feed into the next activity. Have students pair up or three up, depending on how many computers you have, and make a change to the page they're looking at and save it. Refresh the page and have them note that the page now acknowledges the change they wrote and it uses their username, the date and time. Have each student write or record something short to add to the page. To reinforce the collaborative opportunities of wikis, each student should now add a few words to the end of another student's entry. Lastly, show students how to embed a link, video or photo into a wiki and have them do the same. For an introductory blog activity, in pairs, have students access one of a list of blog sites and search for any article of interest. Guide them to look at the formatting aspects, again, same as in wikis, looking at the main articles, headings, links, about us box, comments, and the indication of reads. For a second activity, create a blog with students showing them the process using Weebly or edublog. Third activity, as with wikis, instruct students to create a username or avatar, again remembering the security rules. Each student again was going to need to give the teacher their name so they can be invited into the class group for collaborative work. Again, for younger students, create the page first and their username so that they don't have to go through this process. Also similarly to the wikis, before the next class, the teacher needs to find similar class blogs to connect so that students can be interactive and build relationships. During the next class, have students look at one of the connected blogs and read an article, make an appropriate comment remembering netiquette rules. This is also a really good opportunity for students to actually start making those interactive connections, but it doesn't need to be that part of the process. And lastly, show students how to embed a link, blog or photo into a blog, similarly to wiki. So if you've already done the wiki activity with students, highlight the steps that are similar when embedding multimedia into a blog, but then also discuss the differences because each blog and wiki application uses slightly different protocols and technologies. And the final step is have each student write, upload or record something short to add to the blog page. To reinforce the collaborative opportunities of wikis, each student now needs to add a comment to another student's blog entry. To reinforce the collaborative opportunities of blogs, have them comment on another student's blog entry.